Have you been looking to go back to school for anesthesia? Maybe you looked into CRNA school, nurse anesthetist, or maybe going back to anesthesiology as an anesthesiologist. And while you were doing your research, anesthesiologist assistant popped up. And you thought, what is an anesthesiologist assistant? What do they do? Well, I'm Alexis, and welcome to Anesthesia Insights. I'm a registered nurse going to anesthesiologist assistant school. And today I'm going to dive into what is an anesthesiologist assistant. So let's get started. An anesthesiologist assistant is a highly skilled healthcare professional that works under the supervision of an anesthesiologist. An AA is an important part of the anesthesia care team. Now, before I get into exactly what an AA does, I do think it is important to know where an AA can practice in the United States. I get a lot of people reaching out to me asking how to become an AA, but not knowing if an AA is capable of practicing in their state. The American Academy of Anesthesiologist Assistants is a great website to show where AAs can practice in the United States. I do want to add, I believe Pennsylvania is also a state where AAs can practice. It's just not updated on this map yet. With that being said, it is important to see which states so that you can decide for yourself if the AA is a career that you would want to consider. Here's an idea of the day-to-day responsibilities of an anesthesiologist assistant. Keep in mind that each facility could be different just depending on their policies and procedures. But this is a typical idea of what an AA might do. So an AA can go in and do a preoperative assessment on the patient. They might meet the patient, review medical history, assess to see what kind of medications that patient is taking, look at any concerns, whether the patient has any comorbidities, any sicknesses or illnesses, and then prepare an anesthesia plan with the anesthesiologist for the surgery. Now, during the surgery, the AA would administer anesthesia, intubate the patient, and then stay with that patient to monitor the vital signs while making sure that the patient is stable throughout the procedure. Now, during the procedure, with the AA in that room, it's nice to know that every patient is different, so that AA needs to be responsible of giving different medications for different types of procedures. Once that procedure or surgery is over, the AA is then responsible of waking the patient up. Whether a breathing tube is put in place, the AA might remove it or might keep it in, and then monitoring that patient from the move from the OR to PACU or post-anesthesia care unit. That AA would then make sure that the patient is stable, working alongside PACU nurses, and then taking that patient to the next stage of care. Now, whether that be discharge from the hospital, to the ICU, or to the floor. In order to get into the AA program, which is a master's program, you do need to have a bachelor's degree. This bachelor's degree can be in chemistry, biology, a bachelor's of science in nurse like myself. It can also be in other types of pathways, but it's important to know that you do need to have required coursework done for each individual AA program. Now, every AA program can be different. It is important that you look up which program you want to go into and to assess which kind of requirements do they have. In a future video, I will put up a few schools just showing which types of requirements they have because each are different. Some types of coursework might be biology, chemistry, calculus, physics. Other programs are also requiring anatomy and physiology. So it is very important that you do your due diligence and you do the research to decide which prerequisites might you need. Certain programs also have important factors such as shadowing in an OR. Some might require 8 hours of shadowing in AA. Other programs might require 40 hours of shadowing. Some programs might want you to have prior healthcare experience, such as being a phlebotomist or an anesthesia tech, maybe something to do with research. These are all kind of ideas of what you might need to do for undergraduate in order to apply to the AA program. Now, once in the AA program, duration is typically around 28 months, give or take. You will have classroom instruction and hands-on clinical training. So these are just some learning areas. It is very extensive, but just an idea. Anesthesia techniques might be intubating the patient. You all need to know how to intubate, placing lines, doing blocks, knowing about the drugs that you give and the duration of action, and patient monitoring for safe patient care. Upon completion of the AA program, you will be required to take and pass a certification exam. Just an idea of each program. These programs are very time consuming. When we say 28 months, which is a give or take depending on the program, it's not a break usually. It's typically a summer semester, fall semester, spring semester, summer, fall, spring, whether they say summer, winter, spring. And it is continuous where you will need to go into these hospitals and do clinical hours. Now, in terms of jobs, I've had a lot of people reach out to me asking, is it okay to keep a job? Typically, that is for you to find out with the program. Majority of programs are so strenuous that you will not be able to maintain a job and focus on these programs. The idea of you getting into an AA program is for you to 100% give your time and attention to making sure you are giving the best patient care during surgery that you can. Why might someone consider becoming an AA? One of the reasons is because of the increased demand for anesthesia providers. Another reason is the need to not have to go to nursing school and work a year in the ICU to apply. I know a lot of people are considering AA school just because it works for their goals, their family, and their life. This is a way to have a streamlined path to anesthesia without having to do the extra. I've reached out to a lot of people that have become AAs, and some of them have actually decided to do the AA route instead of going to medical school because they had an option to have better work-life balance. As an AA, you have a predictable schedule compared to other roles. You might not need to be on call in certain facilities or work irregular hours. And there is really big opportunity for you to pick up overtime shifts if you want to. And AA is also a way for you to be a part of patient care without having to have the responsibility as an anesthesiologist. All of the AAs that I've spoken to have told me that their career is very rewarding. So what do you think? Do you think that AA is something that you would consider? I hope this video has given you an idea on what an anesthesiologist assistant is. If you have any questions, please feel free, drop them in the comment box. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and later on I will go in depth on what the requirements are for certain programs in AA school so that you get an idea of where you might need to start your own research. So thanks again for joining Anesthesia Insights, and remember, when times get tough, be like a pearl, made from grit but full of grace. Thank you. See you in the next video.